Let's talk about that for a minute with Mr. Pope, an hour-long show where we discuss various bullshit. And here's your host, me, Mr. Pope. Alright, so we're back again. We're doing this show. There's not much I can say other than the next hour is going to be just me kind of telling you what the deal has been lately. So, tonight's show is not brought to you by the Alchemy 101 podcast, an up-and-coming platform featuring the very elusive Solomon of Automatica. Now, my involvement with this show begins with, basically, I was given a very good lump sum of money from a job that I actually turned down. Now, I was meant to host a variety talk show with a big network. I'm not going to say who they were. It was Fox News. No, I'm just kidding. I would love to have been on Fox News, trust me. No, anyway, seriously though. So I turned down a job, but I still got paid for it. And with this money that I had, I decided to invest in a podcast. Now, I was walking down the street in the downtown area of Lake Worth, and I see this guy with a face mask, well, look like a scarf or something, and a hoodie on. He looks, I shit you not, just like Kanye in that one fucked up interview with him, where he's just being a complete idiot. And believe it or not, there are a lot of interviews where Kanye has been intelligent. I don't know if we can remember those kinds of days. So I asked this guy what he's all about. He actually wanted me to bum a cigarette to him, and he proceeds to smoke it with the mask covering his face. So what I caught from that immediately was that this is a guy who really is dedicated to his craft and his performance and his disguise. He reminded me a lot of me with my music, just in a different form. And I said, well, what do you do? And he says, well, I'm a full-time alchemist. And I said, well, that's interesting. I've dated a few alchemists, men and women. And he said to me that he was actually familiar with some of the people that I had mentioned that I'd been involved with. I guess they were a part of the alchemist community. And we proceeded to kind of form a bond. And I said, do you want to get a drink? And he says, I only drink excessively. And I said, perfect, so do I. So I'm at a bar with him, and everybody thinks he's about to hold up the place. I just kind of realized that here I am bringing a masked figure into me at a public location, like a social, thing. So you can't really bring this kind of guy out. But he was cool. All he talked about was alchemy. He's really into turmeric. He says that he's got a whole system in place. That's a very simple program, a very lucrative program. So we're going to post a link on this episode showing where you can find this project that we brought together called the the Alchemy 101 podcast. He's going to kill me for that. This guy is so precise, and he may seem easygoing on the show, but to be honest with you, this is a really intense son of a bitch. So Solomon, shout out to you. I know you're watching this. We're really, really excited to show you guys, again, a very lucrative 12-step, easy to read, easy to use. It's gonna be great. It's known as the Tumerical system. Now, Tumerical system gets tied into a little thing that's known as worm theory. So, there's a whole rabbit hole with this, guys. You got to get into it. You got to dive deep down on it. You're gonna love it. Now, what I feel is important to discuss is the fact that currently Solomon and I are banned from Facebook, and we're not necessarily technically sure why. I don't understand what could be so threatening about a man in all black with his face covered in an augmented voice in a grainy, eerie, dark room. I have no idea how that could be threatening to people or misleading or pose any kind of... we could make it more threatening. We could make this show is only going to get edgier. We're only on episode 3. Okay, me and Solomon have been having a lot of conversations about what kind of thing we're going to do, about how we're going to actually get this shit to fly, to put it in place. So I'm gonna actually phone him up probably later. I know that he is normally busy doing some kind of thing with urine and feces and certain recreational drugs that he pretends like he is abstinent from. But that's again, we'll get to that all that later. Let's get back to this Facebook thing. So we are currently not able to be seen on Facebook. Now, I don't know if this is a suspension or if this is a complete permanent ban. I have not been informed of this, and I also ended up getting money stolen from me from Meta, from the Facebook thing. So, Mark Zuckerberg, is this your way, sir, of trying to charge us because we have this very simple numerical system, 12-step guide? We are promoting a business, yes. We've got supplements. We've got books that go into the history of worm theory. We've got the precious kidney stones and the precious metals. So all of these things that we have are completely legal, and we have the right to make a living, sir. We are banned from Facebook for now. We're suspended. And all of the content has been posted as inappropriate. Now, I can understand with somebody not understanding the aesthetic direction that the show is and not understanding it and thus being a bit frightened by it or concerned by it. But you have to understand that this was like trying to like report Aqua Teen to the FBI. Which actually, let's talk about that for a minute. Today's history lesson, while the creators of Aqua Teen were promoting the film, I believe it was called like Aqua Teen movie for theaters. It's a great movie. They hired some people who put in like they put in an image of the alien guy Ignek. I don't know how to pronounce that. I've that's been always so difficult because I've like read the character's name, the alien that flips the bird, the one that talks like this. So yeah, they hired them to basically, I guess they technically vandalized the city of Boston, but they phoned it in as a terrorist threat. Like this is all, post 9/11, like right in the aftermath where, you know, you went to order falafel and, grandma's screaming at the top of her lungs, thinking she's going to be killed. So, yeah, I guess, I guess maybe that was a bad comparison because they've actually suffered from that. So I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments below if there are going to be any shit. I got only a handful of people who watch this, but our last episode had quite the stunning amount of views. Now, God, I sound so lazy and stoned like Lex Friedman right now, but I kind of dig it. I don't know. You guys got to tell me in the comments below. So, I mean, but there's enough of a stir at times with this show. I mean, I've actually really, like, thank you all for those of you, even the new people, who have supported this show, because I'm looking at some of the old episodes. 65 views, 8. Now, these are views of somebody that's basically listening to a fucking audio book. I don't have a video for this podcast. I don't really plan on it right now. I kind of like how this is. I don't like to be on camera when it's just me not having a purpose for extensive periods of time. Now, unless it was if I had the right makeup and the right team and the lighting was good and it was a cool show, like I'm willing to do that, but folks, the budget, it ain't there, okay? I got a laptop, I got a headset, I got a mic that's actually pretty decent. And I got Audacity, and I got the audacity to do it my way. This is not everybody's preferred thing with podcasting. Now let's talk about that for a minute, okay? I've always seen podcasting as an extension of the radio. I would prefer to even call this radio. I call this broadcasting. I don't think that there's even a poor man's approach to this. I think that podcasting was a necessary and efficient way to continue to get people into a medium such as radio. Before we had television, before we had films, our only entertainment was radio. and it sounded like utter fucking garbage, but I mean, the fact that you were hearing things and you could imagine them, I mean, that required a lot more patience. That required a lot more engagement. And the people like Orson Welles see that got into that way were the true, honestly, there's a reason why these people were great. There's a reason why the material was much more thought out, why people tuned in, why Orson Welles almost convinced the world that we were being fucking taken over by aliens. So so back to what, oh god, this I'm looking at this freeze frame of the fucking video of me, and it's just like it's me talking about Anthony Fantano. Oh my god. It's a new video on the YouTube channel we got here. It's just like me with the freeze frame is bad. I'm imitating Anthony Fantano, who I'll talk about for a minute. Now, Anthony Fantano, as we all know, is the bald-headed hipster who always runs his mouth. He sees himself as like the king of music journalism, even though he doesn't call himself that. I'm sure in reality and in real life he's like the master of the humble brag. I mean, yeah, he does this for a living. I don't think he started out doing that for a living. And of course, I have sided with him on certain things. Um, let's turn that mic volume down, can we? Can we, guys? All right, we might have some clipping with that, but fuck it, whatever. Um, I used to actually, what do you mean I sided with him? I never sided with that jerk off. I just kind of engaged myself. I was a follower of his content, and he liked artists that I got into, that I was really heavily into. Everybody from Kieran J. Callanan to, I mean, Ariel Pink, Kanye when he was good. Um, I mean, the list goes on. But oh yeah, he did a whole thing on the fucking Burger Records. Does anybody remember that when Burger Records, when they got outed for being a culture of disgusting pigs? Because I don't know how I feel about that, other than thank God I missed that boat, because I was trying to get Burger to sign me for years, and I actually threw a hissy fit that they wouldn't sign me. And I was like, I need a contract right now. I was such a cocky bitch. This was like 2015. I had like a shitload of music out there, and I kept bombarding them with it. I was a bit pissed off because they had Wiener Records where they made cassettes that you basically paid for, and then yeah, they would hype it up. None of the artists went anywhere there. And now everybody got bankrupt. All your music's gone, deleted. You guys are fucked. White Fang, which was Ricky Gage, Free Weed, Uncle Funko. These were guys I didn't know, but I communicated with, and I was a fan of their work. And they'd not really necessarily give me a shout out. They don't know who I am, but I did almost work with Uncle Funko. The guy tried to charge me, or tried to give me a minimum of a certain amount of time, like a minimum, like I asked for a minimum of 1,000 a week and a minimum of like one period's week of work. So that was something that I was not interested in doing, because it was like, this guy seems like I'd be going there and his dirty shit stained underwear would be on the floor, just weed and bongs everywhere. Weed and bongs, like just beer bottles, and he was still in LA at the time, and I saw the studio that he was at. It wasn't like he makes a good product. I would be more interested in that, but I mean, the experience I'd be paying for, especially me at the time, it seemed like, oh, it's this honor and this fucking big privilege to work with me. I mean, bro, like, you guys are okay. And it didn't stop me from supporting them, but I mean, their thing was really gross. Like, they would be like in their dirty hole in the fucking ass underwear promoting themselves. They were always naked and holding each other, like, and they're not gay. This is like what they do for their audience, I mean, these guys came from Portland, Oregon, got hated there, got kicked out. I do have a friend, shout out to Duffy, who was in the band Love Cop. Yeah. And oh, he had to deal with that whole backlash of Burger Records. So this stuff is true about Burger Records, and I'm just really glad that I didn't get involved with those clowns. I didn't talk about this for about like, you know, what was that, 3 years ago? And I was in LA when it happened. So I'm like, look, I just fucking moved here. Like, this is the last thing I need. You know, but I did slowly watch and see all that stuff. I mean, Rolling Stone, holy shit. The only time Rolling Stone ever covered a band on Burger or ever acknowledged Burger Records as an entity was when they booted them from the business. I mean, those guys, they got fucked. And oh man, that was. And I lived in Echo Park, hipster mecca of LA. But those idiots acted like they were this epicenter, sort of epicenter, some cultural epicenter for indie rock, and they were in fucking Orange County, like Fullerton. Like, and people would tell me about that. It's like, yeah, in Fullerton, there really ain't shit except for Burger Records. They do shows, and then Nar Tapes. They were in. They were close to me, but it was not. I mean, I wasn't invited in the store. And I no wait, you know what? They shut down. I think they shut down even before I got there. I don't know what they were doing. They were like, those guys have a lot of friends. Like they're friends with like Mac DeMarco and like who isn't friends with Mac DeMarco? Who doesn't say they're not friends with Mac DeMarco in that scene? I've always been like I said this even on one of my first episodes is that I have a lot of mixed views about Mac DeMarco. I really didn't like him. Maybe not simply for being popular. What I really didn't like him when I confronted him, and I said, "Bro, I know you don't know me, but people say that my music sounds like yours, and that's really just kind of going on all to you, and your music to me doesn't sound like mine at all, and I just think that unfairly you've been considered this. Okay, that's what that's what everybody's got to be now, and that's not really my issue with him. My real issue with him is that he basically takes the success he's had, and he wipes his ass with it, and he makes a fool out of himself. Like the whole stupid humor that was not funny, you know, like the pseudo bro, like, but I'm a big hipster, like everything's ironic, and then he just, and it sucks too, cause like I don't really want to hate him, but I just hate him for being such a fool. And yet I would be like, oh yeah, I'd work with the guy. But then it's like I also feel that he has been intentionally sophomoric because he lacks a certain originality of character. Is that the right way to put it? I don't know if it is. I gotta think about this one. He lacks a certain amount of originality in him, and a lot of his songs are fake. And when I say fake, like his lyrics, like he writes about heartbreak and uh, romance and loss and like let her go, very simp oriented themes. Like his music is like let her go. Will she fall in love tomorrow, DeMarco? I hope so. It's ridiculous, bro. You've been in like the same relationship for 8, 9 years. You haven't married the girl. It's fine. You don't have to marry somebody. You can still be happy and not be wed to them. You're probably happier that way. I don't blame you, bro. But like, Mac, I mean, come on. You've been in a functional relationship. The thing about your dad doesn't seem it seems a little bit like a put on this whole dog thing. I'm sure your dad, you have had his issues. That's your life, not mine. But I got my own issues with my family. I've never cried about them. I mean, I've placed him in a certain way, but I don't know. Like I saw this interview with him recently, and he was talking about how he hears fans saying, "Oh, you should make a salad days too." Like I I thought I want you to go back to that. Like his fans were telling him that they want him to go back to his roots, and he's like, "Well, I feel like I still do make music like that." And he was absolutely right because his music has always sounded the same. And this new thing he did, like I don't want to say I'm pissed about it because I'm the guy that puts out songs with 20 albums. Obviously, you don't know who I am. And this guy puts out something that maybe I would do, but he outdid me. He did 200 songs on one album, and they're really just all. It all sucks. I mean, I listen to it. Like some of it's got a vibe, but it's like. So I've consequently even been reducing some of the lengths of my songs for my next album I'm working on. It's an album called Venison, and it's a kind of a comedy album too. Now it's about, obviously we know venison is deer meat, so this is about the deer meat of sound. This is the sound of deer meat. It is the gamey, hunted. Um, we can place so many different categories in it, but that's what we're going to start with, venison. And it follows the story of my pal Solomon of Automatica. He's actually been a muse for me. I feel, in a way, an extension of myself has rubbed off on him. So I want to maybe make something that is not of that kind of length, but I mean, it did remind me. So shout out to you, Mac, seeing this album that you've done and seeing all the achievements that you've made. And it is good because he has created a world for people like me to be themselves. Um, he has fans that love him, but so do I. I just happen to know all of them personally. And yes, he has had a. He doesn't seem like a scumbag. Not like Ariel Pink, who's just seems like an unlikable guy. Which is sad too. Let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, we left Mr. Pink. I was very furious about it. I was more furious about him not kind of knowing better and kind of being involved in just the Alex Jones documentary that Alex Lee Moyer was making. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's why he was kind of there because that was basically his way in. He acts like he was there to support. I think that was just like a free plane ticket. And then John Mouse, I just think that John Mouse has been depressed since the loss of his brother, the poor guy, and his relationship. He's just kind of in a he's different. I like both those artists still too, but I just feel like well John I wouldn't really be mad at because John Mouse is a very innovative, very different from Ariel Pink. He's actually different from so many of those guys. I don't think he's really like a professor. I don't see they see him as a philosopher, but the fact that his fan base can consider him to that degree is really amazing. It's really amazing that he was also rejected by the same labels that were putting out Ariel's music and friends of his music. Like, I know that feeling, so hell yeah. John Mouse, you're the man. Your music is amazing, and I want you to get it together too. Just don't kill yourself, bro. I mean, that's a guy who like seems really dark. Um, I mean, look where I'm at is I know right now I've mentioned a handful of problematic musicians, Burger Records, Ariel Pink, Mac DeMarco, yada yada yada. And it's because I've been very silent on my support. I've basically been antagonizing, and I've kind of recently just been, look, I have not been an angel myself. I've been a very difficult person, problematic person, and for me to point the finger at people who are more well known and successful than me would not be smart. It would be cowardice. So I'm not here saying I stand with Berger or free Ariel or liberals take back the mouse. Like I'm not here to put on a campaign, but I know where my audience is at times, and I know that me just talking about this when I hashtag these videos where people are going to try to put me in place. So that's a little stupid if I were to not be aware of that. That would be me being stupid. I don't also like want to go on record with saying anything, but it's just very interesting to me that we do live in a time where we can't be a certain way, but you should already know better. Uh, I don't know where I really. We're not going to keep talking about this. Let's take a break and listen to some new music. If you guys are still listening, if you guys haven't shut me off already, thank you.
You better quit your whining. Love is not fair game, but you won't see me crying. All these wonderful walls speak to me when I'm at fault. You love to see my downfall. So turn away, turn away, turn away.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Mac DeMarco. Mac, I always call him Mac Miller. Welcome back to Let's Talk About That for a minute. I hope you enjoyed our commercial break in which we actually did something very inspiring and put the very own music of yours truly, Mr. Pope. You see, it made me think listening to that. So, what do you guys think? Is it okay? It's good enough. Now, it's not like other things. This is not going to be in a polished rain. I really want to make this album kind of. I've been trying so hard. I've taken more time trying to find a producer, trying to find the right studio, and trying to raise money by like being a groundskeeper for some, you know, neighbor or hiding bodies for the mafia. I've been just trying to work odd jobs that haven't been working out. Not even enough time. I go to the bar and order a beer and the paycheck's gone, kind of thing. Yeah, but no, that's so. Anyway, I've wasted more time trying to do this like what I thought was the right way and the productive way. But I just really feel like I have a certain sound now. I'm kind of. It's weird for me to now when I listen to things after I mix it. I'm still. It's the mixing that always fucks with me. That's always going to be the area that I struggle in is engineering, because I am doing mixing and arranging. What I really am doing is arranging, but I'm doing a lot of stuff with the volume. And my method of recording has always been, I'm sorry guys, I don't even use an interface. Okay, that's why the fidelity comes in. That's why there is the clipping. But I don't want things to sound too polished because I really honestly am essentially a lot of the time with my recordings I've always tried to capture a live performance that is layered upon. I'm trying to capture something that is again pretty much done spur of the moment. Now, a lot of albums have been disastrous with the production. Peace of Mind was a piece of shit. Evil Mothers sucked. But I think that Evil Mothers can be seen. I think that somebody discovering it could really fall in love with it. Those were the albums that, like, I get it why the labels, other than Sun God Records mine, which is really just my fucking Bandcamp site, I can understand why it would be like. Now, Century Ago I think is amazing. Signals of Virtue, the one with the People's Love Cult, that's amazing. I think the Light album's very good. There's some a lot of the People's Love Cult stuff. Beware is amazing. Okay, Live in Mar-a-Lago is might be getting reissued, but it's yeah, I've been lucky. The best accomplishment I've had in my life musically has been with for you guys, being able to play for you guys, and for the small labels. Like I always got to give a big shout out, all of you guys, even the ones that I've fallen out with. I'm gonna mention them all. You don't deserve this beautiful art, Evan. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Sorry that I was sour, a dick. There's a lot of apologies I have to do. Big Pharma Records, not Big Pharma Europa, because that guy ended up being a total prick. But still, thank you, Jot. I mentioned you in a video recently. I hope you heard it. But the Big Pharma, the one in Kansas, they were really cool. They were the first label that gave us a platform that was with other like-minded artists. It was essentially a noise label. And I wasn't thinking like, oh wow, these guys will take anything, but I actually wanted to give them something that was more of like a rock and roll with a lot of noise around it, which is what the band is and what the band was, especially then. I think now we're kind of going more to like a theater troupe direction. Like I want to make the next albums, the next PLC albums, because right now the plan's primarily for me to get this kind of thing done. Because I'm not anywhere near my buddy Jack. I'm not anywhere near the other musicians I've worked with. I'm much more remote now, and I've needed this time to kind of fall back in love with music. But yeah, I basically want all those albums to be conceptual. Like I want to continue with the conceptual direction, not necessarily doing rock operas. Signals of Virtue, I really am the most proud of. All you guys. I've said it so many times. In fact, I maybe we will play some one of those songs up here next. So yeah, I've been really lucky. I was gonna just say that working with Jack and Faith remotely, and working with David Kavika in the studio, with him producing Ghost in the Mirror, and Jesse, his lyrics. I mean, we all came together in such a fantastic way. I mean, Emily even wrote songs for the album. So that was like a collective effort that was recorded in separate locations, where we were all pretty much on the same page. So we had two people recording in Michigan, and then we had me down here, and then I would go record demos with Jesse and Royal Palm, and I would call Emily on the phone, and then I would go take some things to Dave. Well, we only ended up with one thing, but there were other things we were working on, so he still was a big part of that too. So, and guys, follow Kavika, my musician friend. He's just been a really cool kid. Definitely has a long career ahead of him. Has a great road. Great engineer, multi instrumentalist, very unique sound. He's been a supporter of mine since I reached out to him to play a gig, and then he just ended up uh, looking at all my music. Even ended up I didn't necessarily like say don't play the gig. I just said I think that we had like a full lineup at the time, but it's good. So like I didn't think that locally I would, because I get a lot of interaction with people who have found my stuff um, like remotely that I've never met. Uh, People from Scotland, Canada, middle of nowhere, Ohio, and so yeah, and yeah, it's a pretty small group, but I mean shit. I email every demo to like 4 or 5 different people. If it stays with that, I don't care. I mean, you know, shit. I'm trying to, with this new Alchemy 101 podcast, what we're trying to do here is, other than showcasing the importance, the intrusive importance, mind you, of alchemy for our generation, for our society, what we're trying to do is get the brand out there. It's about time we start cashing in. It's about time Mr. Pope and the People's Love Cult and Sun God Records, we all take off together. We're a family, y'all. I want to make an announcement, but I don't want to make an announcement. There may be a shot that I might be going on a certain TV show that I'm not going to tell you what it is. And I'm not even going to say it's necessarily a TV show. But the audition has been sent in. And it's a very strange choice. It may not be what people necessarily would want from me. It may be risky, but there's also a chance that it may not even happen. So if it does not happen, ladies and gentlemen, and all my friends, all of yous, do not be upset. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, and don't be upset if it doesn't happen. You're not going to know about it if it doesn't work out. It's one of those things that I'm not even going to necessarily convey, you know, because it's just not like, when I'm involved in other people's things, I'm very sparing about mentioning it. I do want to say though, you guys should follow the Real Idiots, a comedy troupe. They are a YouTube channel, obviously, and please like and share the video that I was in with them. I mean, like and share all their stuff, but especially the one that I had a cameo and a speaking role in. That's called Yearniture, and that's on the Real Idiots. REEL. Idiots. I hope you guys know how to spell idiots, otherwise, you truly are stupid. So, um, let's go ahead and take another break because everybody knows I like my smoke breaks. And we are going to listen to a song from the People's Love Cult album, The Signals of Virtue. We're going to get the track, let's see which one. We're going to be listening to a song that was not sung by me, but something I think is a really great cornerstone of the album, performed by Jack Gibson and Finn the Bird. Faith is her name. It's the song Gray Skies. And they did an amazing job on this, and this was their contribution to the record that is all one. Okay, let's hear it.
Gray skies, they follow me over the world. I do believe. Sad eyes, they look me down and show me how to disagree. The city's empty except everyone. Their hollow faces are just masks I've worn. Sunshine so far away, your yellow light a memory. When you will return, I'll never solve that mystery. The city's empty except everyone. Their hollow faces are just masks I've worn.
Absolutely fucking beautiful, right? Absolutely. Yeah, I love that song so much. I really felt that there was such an agoraphobic tone to that song. Um, and Jack claims that this song was written about the weather, and that was it. And I understand why he would say that because obviously, yeah, but it's a song, the basis of a song with the lyrics and the inspiration. Because what this could have been on the song was something that would probably be could be perceived as filler had it really been a song. If I thought it was about the weather, I feel like it goes so much deeper than that. Um, And that just goes to show you when you work with a genius like him. Um, you know what's weird is I was listening to the audio, and you guys can actually hear me scratching my beard and mustache right now. It's a little bizarre, and pardon that. This is actually a headset microphone. It's a bit of a different thing we're trying out, but it's hey, it's going to good use. It's actually kind of better than me leaning into the microphone that I normally use, which is a Rode USB. I actually have two of them, and I use them not both at the same time, but I use them for different things. I don't really know why. I just feel like having a backup is good. It was kind of a mistake where something was ordered twice on Amazon. It was a good mistake, though. All right. Um, yeah, so Gray Skies was an amazing song. There's a lot of amazing songs on that record. You guys got to check it out at the Sun God Records website. That is thetalentlessmrpope.bandcamp.com. Now, Mr. Pope, you're probably thinking, why do you have a website domain that is multiple artists and yet you have your name on it? That is because it's actually kind of a good point. Like, what am I guess gonna call it? Sun God Records Official. Band. Well, actually, that should be the name of it. Honestly, it's got to be tied to me either way. I do a lot of confusing things with branding. I was actually just on my YouTube earlier and I was just thinking, God, do I have to really just start another channel for this new podcast? Because I already have like episodes out on this Facebook. Fuck Facebook. This YouTube channel. And like I really should be doing that, but I just feel like there's been so many hits and so many misses that if I just wait until the audience actually grows and I get to a certain point when it would make more sense, because I mean this has been advice I've gotten. I mean, even on, I have the worst business card. It wasn't made by me, somebody else made it, but it has a stupid corny graphic of like a musical note on it and then like a camera. And I really, like, I do have business. They were so cheap. I mean, they're like, you could just like rip it up with one hand kind of thing. You could snort a line of drugs with it. It wouldn't even fucking work. Jesus Christ. And I'm being honest. I don't want to insult the person that did this for me, but for fuck's sake, man, fuck that. But yeah, when it comes to being professional, you have to place a certain amount of necessity on the right things. You can't just try to make yourself look like you're the shit. You got to be open to other people's suggestions, but I just personally feel like I'm comfortable with doing things the way that I've done them. And if you don't like that, well, I'm very sorry that it bothers you. Okay? This episode has been primarily me talking about Mac DeMarco and other problematic musicians. I really honestly am wondering when they are going to really nail that coffin into DeMarco, because he shoved a drumstick up his ass and it's only amounted to like people being like, "Hey, remember that one time?" I saw that somebody, there was like an effort, because I was actually in New York City or New Jersey outside the city. I was around that those, and somebody I knew posted the whole thing about it, and that he there was also another thing about his friend of his jerking off, and then Mac DeMarco pulled out his fucking cell phone and started recording that. You know, I mean, I'm not saying I want him canceled, but I mean, because he's not like, he's doing the thing that most big artists do now, where they only release like another album every. Like, I would not be that way. I would be, yeah, I'd be spending the money and making the money back. I would be making different kinds of shit. I could make Atlantic Records. If you sign me now, I swear to God, you'll have a jazz album, you'll have a soundtrack, you'll have a rock and roll album, and you will have like a like kind of standards, show tunes, and covers album, but reimagined. Like, you'll have shit. Like, I'll spend that money once the money runs out, and then I'll just fucking tour. Like, I will not sit on my fucking ass. Okay, I mean, being called lazy and being said you're not going to make it has motivated me and driven me so for so long that anything that I get that's bigger is going to be like I'll stop drinking. I'm not even fucking kidding. I will stop drinking. Like I'll get up at 4 in the morning. It's 2 a.m. now. I stay up till 2 a.m. to record a podcast this way. Now, if they want me to remove all my like past history, I don't even think that's gonna matter. But I will definitely say no to that. I'm not gonna delete my Bandcamp. I'd only sign with a label that will allow me to keep just that. Now, I'm not gonna sell the rights because a lot of people have said you should really re-record these songs. I don't disagree with them. I know what the quality is. You know, it is how it is what it is. There were a lot of decisions that I made sonically in trying to get something that, yes, was not made on Audacity, but I've made every single album on Audacity. I've recorded on, well, that's not, no, that's, okay, so, wait, let's think about this. So L Lame, which was never really officially released, it was released by this kid I've been working with who's in Russia, who has a label. I just let him do the distribution because I didn't want to, like, I charged him bare minimum. I mean, this is like a kid who I think is like 15. He's like a DJ in Russia. Or he's like a Russian bot who I just happen to have a friendship with. But he's a nice kid. He's a good kid. I don't want to butcher his name by trying to pronounce it, and you guys don't even need to know who he is either. Okay? But it's called Element M Records. But L-AIM was not recorded with Audacity. There are early, and by early I mean maybe even just one song. Oh no, there's an album. The Mania was recorded actually with Tascam on a Tascam 8-track digital, which was later mixed on Audacity because when you have the input reverb on that, like I would have a certain way, so then I had to emulate that digitally because all of it would come back dry, and I was just like, no man, no. I'm not gonna do a single take. It's gotta be this amount of vocals, man. No, man. Come on. It's gotta sound trippy. It's gotta be like early T-Rex, but rougher, you know. So anyway, I ended up, yeah, doing my own thing. But yeah, I have recorded everything with Audacity. Because on it, well, no, Gravy Horse was done with. Jack likes to do Reaper. I mean, there's some people I like Audacity. It speaks to me. I want them to sponsor me. Now it's been you guys Audacity. You've been a bit of a pain in my arse lately because the updated things you got. I know that you guys were bought out, which does suck. I mean, Bandcamp gets bought out, but what doesn't get bought out? I get surprised. I don't mind a company getting bought out. Actually, I do. For Audacity, I do. Then now there's some like possibility where, okay, we'll send your information to law enforcement. Okay, whatever. Everybody knows I like to watch elephant on elephant porn. You know? Big deal. Everybody knows I like to see, decapitations. It's no secret. I say it at the bars. Fucking A. Yeah, so, alright, the show's almost over. This has been a really, really fun hour getting back to talk to you guys. One thing that we didn't talk about for a minute was something I was supposed to mention later. I gotta stop doing this. Like, I'm worse than that machine Bert Kreischer asshole loser who always talks over people and then changes the subject. Because I'm even doing it right now, but I have a big habit of, like, just riffing because time is of essence. The story I was going to say was that there was an episode, yeah, that was here on this show, and it was about a guy, let's just call him an owner of certain establishments, and I ended up taking that episode down, and it wasn't because I was afraid of any legal thing. I actually tried to get some civility with this person in question. We were going to have our own sit down, but it didn't really happen. Probably for the best. But I had mentioned some things on the show that were attaining to a personal issue that I was very involved in. And I still feel passionately about this. My feelings have not changed towards what he represents, his establishments, the handle that he has on arts and culture local to me. I have the right to have an opinion on it. But I was told by some fucking dweebs to take it down, and I did it for the fucking dweebs because I love my dweebs. Okay? There were just some people who actually enjoyed going to these places, and if I had gotten them in trouble, I don't care about being at some fucking club and not being allowed. I care if people I know are being personally affected by it who don't deserve it. That's me being a dick. If I was like, no, man, you shouldn't. Now, I already feel the way I do. I've gone off on a lot of people that some of them didn't even deserve it about why I hate this guy and this. I have a long history with it, and I've been longly outspoken. But why I chose to delete this episode, what I finally fucking realized was I asked, did this guy get the message? Did he hear what I had to say? And he said, yes, he did. And I said, then I can delete it. So I deleted it literally on my phone driving on that drive back. And I'm glad I did that. That was the most. I just want to give myself a big clap because that was the best I've ever done for this show. I used it for a purpose that I wanted to make. My voice was heard, and a resolution was presented. So I did something with my show that had an impact, and I will continue to make lasting impacts. I will continue to do this. I will continue to talk about things for longer than a minute. This is Mr. Pope. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Clean up the Everglades, drive this airboat to hell. This is not my home. I don't feel for you. Lights go out and the marsh takes away the moon, and soon I will be removed. Queen of the Everglades, show me where the gators lie. Queen of the Everglades, even if it's not my time. Learn to swim and look alive. Learn to sink and say goodbye.